Hello! I'm Elaine, and I'm a tour guide in the French Quarter. I do ghost tours. And I am not going to tell you the stories that I tell on my tour, because you gotta pay for those. But if you want to hear some interesting things that have happened to me while I'm leading random drunk people around the French Quarter, I got you. So I was thinking of stories for the judging video, and I realized that I have an entire separate section of judging stories from the ghost hunts. Oh my god, there were so many people that came on those ghost hunts that I judged. And yeah, there were the obvious ones who just, I judged them because they refused to believe that anything was not paranormal. But the big ones I have, there was one night I was doing a ghost hunt, and it was a bachelorette party, which was rare because this is not really a bachelorette party kind of event. If you've never been to a ghost hunt, you're literally sitting in a dark space trying to communicate with the dead. Like, that's not fun drunken times. And also, most ghost hunts take place in older, quite often abandoned buildings. And this one wasn't quite abandoned, but it wasn't in the best shape. So this is not the kind of thing I expect drunken bachelorettes to enjoy. And I'm trying my best to make it fun for them, but the vibes are just stanky. Like nothing is working. And finally, we've gotten to the point where I'm trying to encourage them to lead things. But when I got the group upstairs, this one girl sort of took the lead, and she went from 0 to 500. Like, usually the first couple of questions people ask on a ghost hunt are things like, hello, is there anyone here? Can you knock on the floor to tell us that you're here? The sort of stuff you've seen on ghost hunting shows. This woman went straight from, hello, to, so what does the afterlife look like? Can you talk to other people when you're there? Have you met God? And stuff like that. And I'm just sitting here going, oh my God, honey, you're not going to get those answers. But through talking to her and her friends, I realized that she was in a terrible mood. And she was the bachelorette. So she was the bride to be. So that was not good. And finally, at one point, I end up alone with the girl who I think is the maid to honor. And she explains that the bride's father died earlier that day. And most of the bachelorette party thought going on a ghost hunt that night would be a really bad idea. But one of the girls had insisted it was still a good idea. I judged that girl really hardcore. Like, that was not acceptable. You dragged that poor girl through some hell. But another one, there was one night that we did ghost hunts up to Christmas Eve, just like we did all other tours. And that night I really thought I was going to have off. Nobody had booked the tour until I think it was 7:30. Somebody booked this ghost hunt. And I'm sitting here I almost got to go home early for Christmas. But I get there and I'm trying my best to be chipper and cheerful. And it's a father and a son. And the son is frankly too damn young to be on this tour. Ghost hunts were one that we listed as you must be 16 and up. And truthfully, we preferred adults 18 up. And this kid was, if he was 14, that's the best we could hope for. And the dad actually tells me he's too young to be on this, but the people said he was the only, we're the only people signed up for it, so I figured it'd be okay. If he gets tired, I'll take him home. I will make sure he's doing good. And I'm that's fine. It's mainly just a health and safety thing because it's not always a safe place to be in the dark. And he's I understand, it's my choice, his choice, we're gonna do this. And I start to launch into the intro of here's how to do ghost hunts, here's all the equipment, here are the ghosts you might meet tonight. And the kid goes to the bathroom, and he's in there for 30 minutes. And eventually the dad makes some comment that it's clear that he wants me to step out, and I'm yeah, maybe something happened and the kid's embarrassed. I'm just going to step out into the courtyard to give them a chance to talk together. And sure enough, 2 minutes later, the dad comes out. It's I'm so sorry. We're going to have to reschedule. This is not he's not feeling well. And I'm that's fine. And I assume it's that the kid got scared. But when I go in to do the last check in the bathroom before I leave, I find out that no, that is not what happened. That poor young man shat his underwear. And he had tried to dispose of it by flushing it down the toilet. And if you've ever tried to flush underwear down the toilet, you know that often does not work, especially in old plumbing. So it had just gotten stuck, and he clearly wasn't sure what to do and just was waiting to figure out like a magic solution. And which meant that yes, on Christmas Eve, I had to be fishing a pair of poop encrusted underwear out of a toilet into a trash bag and cleaning up a tiny little bathroom because this is not my house and I can't leave it that mess. But the last one I want to tell you on this particular video, there was one night I was waiting for my group for the ghost hunt, and they were late. They were like a good 20-minute late. And when they finally rock up, they are shit-faced drunk. Like, one of them is literally, like, his eyes are half closed and he's leaning on his friend, and I'm like, okay. And so, as I often did when guests showed up way too drunk for this thing, I would try to casually explain to them why it might not be a good idea to do this drunk. And, like, I talk them through, like, there are a lot of tripping hazards. We're going to be in the dark. It's going to be, varying temperature because there is no heating or air conditioning in this building. So, like, if it's hot out, it's hot, and if it's cold out, it's freezing, and a lot of this is going to be sitting in the dark talking to the air. So, like, if you can focus really well, this is fun. If you cannot focus well, this is boring as fuck. One of the friends clearly is getting it and getting that I'm saying, "You're too drunk," without saying, "You're too drunk." But the others, nah, they want to do this. And while I'm explaining all this, their super drunk friend pukes on the stoop of the building that we're standing in front of, on my shoes, on the sidewalk. It gets everywhere. He had had hurricanes and red beans and rice, and I should not know that, but I did. And I'm just sitting there like, ugh, fuck. Because also now I'm sitting there thinking, I have to clean up this because this is the property that we do ghost hunts at, and I can't leave it this mess, or we may never be able to do ghost hunts here again. But I'm like, okay, and I assume that's the end of it, and they'll accept this and realize this is not time to do a ghost hunt. But no! They are still insistent that we do the ghost hunt. So I take them back to the building, thinking, well, at least he's emptied his stomach, and the second we get in the building, he's like, can I go to the bathroom? I'm like, yeah, please do. And he's in there for like 20 minutes, and I'm like, oh god, did he pass out on the toilet? At one point we hear a thump, and I'm like, yeah, he passed out and just fell off the toilet. And that's when a friend of his goes to check, and yeah, he slumped over the toilet with his head in the bowl, clearly having puked again. And that's when I finally convinced them to reschedule. So yeah, drunk guys out there, I'm still judging you too. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and feel free to share your own experiences in the comments below.